Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bremner Square podcast. My name is Jonny Chick, and joining me we have Kieran Archer. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, fine. I would have preferred 3 points yesterday, but we're going to talk about that. So mostly good.
Yeah, well, we can actually talk about the first technically 3 points we got of the season in midweek against Crewe. You were there at the game. How was getting back to Ellen Road?
Yeah, I really enjoyed being back in Elland Road. It made it better that it was pretty much a capacity crowd, which is crazy for a midweek game against a League One side in the League Cup. I think it just shows kind of a pull of Bielsa. As I've said loads of times, I've fallen so far behind in terms of priority of tickets. The fact that I didn't keep hold of my season ticket while I was away at uni. In that time, the club's completely transformed. More and more people want to get to Elland Road, and it's a shame for me, but it's brilliant for the club, and it was nice to actually get the chance to get to a game myself.
Yeah, well, that game I didn't go to, and I also couldn't watch it really anywhere, whether that be legally or via other networks. But literally no one else could watch it. So almost need you to tell me how we played, because I know Bamford came on, made the difference. I know we won 3-0, and I know Jack Harrison scored a lovely chip. But apart from that, how was the balance of play?
I mean, the balance of play was mostly with Leeds, but against a League One side in the League Cup, playing pretty much a close to full strength 11, it shouldn't have taken us so long to break them down. I don't think. Crewe actually had a little spell, maybe 10, 15 minutes into the game, where they were putting together some really nice, really crisp passing themselves. I was starting to think, oh God, these are a decent side. We're in trouble here. But other than that, the play was mostly with Leeds, but it did take bringing Bamford on and the way he put himself about to finally break them down. He didn't end up getting on the score sheet himself, but it was the way that he kind of got at their defence that created the space for Jack Harrison. I think the first goal, Calvin Phillips tapping home a corner. I think we won the corner because of a bit of play from Bamford as well. So it's a bit concerning it took bringing Bamford to come on to break down a League One side.
I guess, yeah, we can look at it that way. Also, it's almost a positive that we're taking the cup a little bit more serious this year. Like, we're not, well, fingers crossed we won't be getting knocked out to the likes of Sutton and Crawley and Mark Wright and any other reality TV stars that want to try and play against us. We've got Fulham in the next round of the cup away from home, which means a trip back to London again already. How do you see us faring in that one? I know obviously it's a couple of weeks away now, but early thoughts on that?
I mean, I hate Craven Cottage. I just feel like, obviously last season we ended the London curse there, but other than that, I'd seen us put in all kinds of performances at Craven Cottage, some really poor ones where we've deserved to lose. Somewhere with like in the Chris Wood nearly playoff season in the Championship where we got battered for the 90 minutes but had a 1-0 lead.
Yeah.
And then gave away sort of deep into added time.
Didn't we score like a really, really bad own goal or something like that?
I think it was Tim Ream just gifted us the lead in that one. So yeah, I've seen us play well and lose there or not get the 3 points there. I think in Bielsa's first season there may have been one of those. I can't remember too much off the top of my head. Or it might have been in the second season. Actually, we played really well down there, deserved the 3 points and came away with a defeat, I think. So I hate Craven Cottage, but like I say, we ended the London curse there last season. They've actually started this season really well. Alexander Mitrovic, as always, when he drops down to the Championship, just scoring loads of goals. So it's a dangerous one. I think it's a banana skin of a tie, even if we do play a full-strength team. But I still think we're a better team than Fulham. We should beat them.
No, yeah, we are. And he's a banana skin, isn't it? It's like basically top of the Championship at the moment, next to near bottom of the Premier League. There's all the chance Fulham can do it. I guess the one silver lining with that is in the cup competitions, when we were in the Championship, we were fully focused on getting promoted. So you'd like to think maybe they want to put out a weaker side, but they do have a very good team. Like they signed Harry Wilson as well. They kept hold of Mitrovic on a new contract as well, which is just bad news for all Championship defenders because he's guaranteed to score goals. Did you see his goal the other week, actually, where he hit it in on his chest? I think,
Against Huddersfield, it was, yeah.
Yeah, bizarre.
Yeah, it was. A
Very
strange
bizarre.
one. I mean, that's just Mitrovic in the Championship, though. He'll get your goals even if he doesn't know that he's going to do it.
Yeah, he could chest them in against Huddersfield. You mentioned Bamford, obviously, against Crewe. We'll get on to him because it's been a massive week for him. He was obviously the man who came up with the equaliser on Sunday against Burnley. A 1-1 draw away from Turf Moor. It's not a bad result. A point away at Turf Moor away from home is never a bad result. It's more the performance, I guess we were saying before we came on air, wasn't exactly up to top form, was it?
No, it wasn't. I think I did say that it seemed to come in spells for us. I thought we started the game quite well the first few minutes. But they were quite sharp with the passing. Didn't really create any clear-cut chances off it, but just some really nice touches. And then we just had that spell where we made Burnley look like a good side. I think I predicted that it'd be one of those games where we tried to break them down and they tried to nick something on the counter. And for a lot of the game, it wasn't like that at all. I think they did start to park men behind the ball a bit when they went a goal up. They tried to hold on to the lead, and that maybe was the wrong decision from them, because when they were coming at us, we were really struggling. But being able to play more of his own game, because they let us play more of his own game, it helped us out in a way. So I think it is a bit concerning that when we went kind of toe to toe with Burnley and they tried to come at us as much as we came at them, that they were looking the more dangerous side and creating the better chances in that spell.
They were. When they scored, like a couple of minutes before they scored, it was just all them. I know Tarkowski hit the bar, didn't he? Which is a fantastic save from Melier, and then obviously they were able to produce a goal through Chris Wood. Did it make you as sad as it did for me when he celebrated against his former club?
I always expected it from him, because there was that spell at Leeds where he really didn't feel like he was being backed by the fans, and he gave a bit to us when he scored for us. So I always expected him to celebrate when he scored against us. It was a really good striker for us. He was the striker that we needed at the time. But, he was never really that loyal to Leeds. And not all players, have that loyalty in them. They just want to climb the pyramid, get to the top of their level. And he took the chance to go to Burnley, a team that he really suits, and being the Premier League a few years ahead of us. So I don't really hold it against him too much, because I never got the feeling that he really loved Leeds. And, if it was something like, if it was flashing back a few years, Mark Viduka celebrated like that against us, that would have upset me, because I thought Mark Viduka did love Leeds, but with Chris Wood, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same as if Calvin Phillips scored against Leeds in 4 or 5 years' time and cupped his ear in front of us. That would have been... I highly doubt Calvin would do anything like that. Chris Wood, thing is, I think he grew to like Leeds. I say like, strong word probably. Mid-end of the Gary Monk season, when he was scoring quite a few goals. I mean, he almost got... Did he get 30 that season or 29 in the league? I think he was really good.
I think he got 30 in all competitions with a couple of goals in the cup, and like 28, 29 in the league.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was a point where it was like, oh, maybe he's actually liking us a bit more, and then posted out on Twitter like a screenshot of his notes page on his phone, and it was just like, a Premier League club is interested in me. I prefer not to play against Sunderland so I don't get injured and I can go to Burnley. Joking aside, he has done very, very well at Burnley, and he is a top striker. And another man who sort of climbed up the pyramid a little bit before Leeds was Charlie Taylor, who got sat down by Rafinha for the equaliser. So that was good fun to watch, wasn't it?
I mean, Charlie Taylor, I thought, was really good. Dealt with Rafinha really well, but I think Rafinha may be a little bit off his game for periods, but he's that player that he just needs that to find his best game for 10, 15 minutes, even for one moment, and he's just got the ability to make you look stupid, even if you've been dealing well with him all game, and that's what he did. He remembered how to play football suddenly, and how brilliant he was at playing football, and created something out of nothing for Leeds, and that led to the goal.
Yeah, Charlie Taylor did pocket him all game. Again, joking aside, I thought he was phenomenal. I remember I was watching it with my dad, and my dad said like, "Oh, great challenge, Charlie." I was like, Who are you actually supporting in this?" He was like, "He's done very well on Rafinha." There were a couple of times Rafinha tried to skip past him, and he just had his number. Not all game though, because it did lead to the equaliser. Bamford getting off the mark. As much as it wasn't the 3 points that we wanted, the goal felt almost perfect. It was a similar kind of scrappy goal to theirs, so we didn't feel too unjust by it. Shackleton got his first Premier League assist because I thought he was fantastic when he came on, and Bamford's off the mark, which will do his confidence a world of good, especially going into the England setup. I think today actually.
Yeah, it was. I really did like the goal. I like the fact that it came from a bit of work from Rafinha down that right hand side of the pitch, because just proving again that he's that player that can make a huge difference from us. I like the fact that Jamie Shack was involved because I feel like he has got something big to contribute this season. I think he did play a little bit early into last season, but maybe sort of his involvement dropped a bit as the season went on. But he's a talented lad. He's a lad that really seems to love Leeds. You just see his face whenever Leeds score a goal in the celebrations. He's always right amongst it. And yeah, I almost wish it was Jamie Shack's shot that went in, but in the end, I think it was a shot from Shack. I don't think he was trying to pick out Bamford. It was heading just wide, and Bamford just showing the goal poacher's touch to turn it towards goal in pretty much the same way Chris Wood showed the goal poacher's touch to get Burnley's goal. So yeah, I think weirdly it was a scruffy goal, but a really enjoyable goal to watch.
It was. It was almost like a bit of is he offside here because he's quite near the goal, but then they had someone on the line. Nick Pope was there as well, and it was job done in that sense. Bamford obviously he's had a fantastic week. We'll get onto the England international call up as well, but again, like he did against Everton with Mina, he seems to be a bit of a pantomime villain these days. I don't know what it is with him, but he's just got a bit now of a more aggressive side because the first season with him, especially against Derby in the playoffs, he was weak as anything. And you think coming up against Tarkowski and me, who are two of really have one of the best partnerships in terms of centre back wise in the league. How's he going to cope with it? But he was a bit of a pantomime villain again with Tarkowski rolling around on the floor. I think he called it jiu-jitsu that Tarkowski was doing on him as well. What did you make of his battle with the Burnley defenders on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I think the pundits picked up on it on Sky Sports. He has really added that side to his game. He's got a little bit of a nasty streak now, and it is something maybe he's needed because he isn't a small guy. He's about 6 foot tall, isn't he? He's a fairly decent sized striker, and he was so poor in kind of those physical battles. It seemed like something that he had the potential there in his game for, but he wasn't really finding it. But he has got that nasty streak now. He seems to love a physical battle. He seems to thrive on it, and I think it is actually a really important development in his game that he can put himself about there, that he can go up against defenders like Tarkowski, like Ben Mee, and give them a bit back as much as they give to him.
Exactly. I thought he dealt with them well. And I was more concerned sort of last season thinking, how's he going to deal with these big centre-backs? Van Dijk passed the ball to him in the first Premier League game, evidently couldn't deal with Bamford. And from then, the rest is history. We've got some comments coming in actually on YouTube. I forgot to say, we are live on Leeds TV Facebook page and YouTube channel. So anyone watching, feel free to comment. And we've actually got, well, he's back actually, former Leeds player, Michael Brown. In reality, Leeds are a lower mid-table team, and Leeds should be looking to pick up points from mid to lower league teams. Gaining points from the top half teams, I see as a bonus points. This is the thing: we have picked up a point against a lower mid-table team, and we picked up a point against a team in Everton who are probably going to finish in the top half of the table. We'll get onto sort of like a first 3-game review in a sense in a bit, but with a point against Burnley, I was actually thinking more looking at the bench that we've got. We obviously brought on Shackleton and Roberts, who had a fantastic impact. Bielsa did well with his substitutes, but I was looking who else is on the bench, like Charlie Cresswell's on there, Geldhardt's on there. Costa's the only other player who could probably come on and say provide a bit of an impact, but he's someone with that experience. Do you think in the 2 days left of the transfer window that we can maybe get some other players in? Because you look at our bench and you look at Burnley's bench, and theirs is far more experienced than ours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the transfer policy is going to be over the next however many hours it is actually until the window shuts. I'd really like us to get someone in. I do feel like we are light on the bench. I mean, I enjoy watching the under-23s play. We've got some fantastic under-23s at the club. And it is sometimes nice to see their names on the bench because you think, well, they're an unknown quantity. If they come on, they can maybe make a huge difference. But you'd be a lot more confident if there was, obviously, Dan James is the name that's getting thrown about the most. If there was a Dan James on the bench, someone who's proved that he can make a serious impact, especially in games that are stretched when people are tired. With that pace of his, he can just come on, run at people, put himself about, and cause a big impact. So I would like to see at least one signing, but obviously all the indications have been that they don't expect anyone else to come in. You don't know if that's just them playing a game, them downplaying the negotiations, but that's the noises that have come out of the club.
Yeah, Radrazani tweeted in a reply to someone who said, have we got any new midfielders coming in? I don't know if you saw it, and he replied with Adam Forshaw, and it was like, oh, okay, are we doing this then? We're just going with the current squad. A name you mentioned there, and someone who popped up at about sort of 10:30, 11 o'clock last night with the Athletic reporting, it was Dan James. This user, I don't know how you even pronounce that name, IGKHD, and then that again. He said, in all seriousness, Dan James is the perfect player for Leeds, suits the high intensity play, runs for days, and can cross the ball well. I mean, and Kai also, who is the host of the Manchester TV podcast, so knows Dan James well. You can have Dan James if you'd like. He started for Manchester United yesterday, so he's a first team player, a first team regular in the start of this season for Manchester United. Dan James is a player that Leeds know well, more than others. Obviously, almost signed for us in January 2019 when that fell through. Would you like to see him at the club?
I think the important thing here is that Bielsa would like to see him at the club. We know that Bielsa's had a keen interest in Dan James for years. I think was there the whole thing with the whole Spygate presentation?
Yeah,
there was a file on his laptop.
He had a folder literally called like Daniel James, and it was a bit stalkerish at one sense. But then it's like actually he has done his research on him.
Yeah, and he's clearly a player that Bielsa likes. The fact that we keep being linked with him every single transfer window, I think that that shows us truth behind it. That is someone that the club always seems to take a look at. And I know Man United fans are quite split on him. Some see him as quite a raw talent. They see him as having the pace but not the end product yet. But as I don't know, it was said before. He does suit that high intensity game style. I think Bielsa clearly sees that because Bielsa clearly likes him. And if Bielsa thinks he can work his magic on him, then I would like to see him at Leeds United.
Yeah, I've seen some people on Twitter say that they'd like to see him out wide and then Rafinha move to a bit of a number 10 kind of into midfield role. Like, we haven't seen that really from Rafinha at all. So I don't really know how that would work.
Yeah, well, I think you do see him at times. I think there was one yesterday where he drops deep and he pinged a ball forward to Rodrigo. He does seem to have a decent eye for a pass.
Yeah, he does.
So maybe you could see him in the middle, but thing is, I'm very much a don't fix what isn't broken kind of person, and Rafinha on the wing has been incredible since pretty much the first minutes he got for Leeds. So I don't see us needing to shift Rafinha anyway. He can stay on the right wing and keep causing nightmares for left backs across the Premier League.
Yeah, I guess it is just where does Dan James fit in, and obviously he'd probably be wanting first team football, especially if he's coming on loan, which seems to be Man United's preferred option. They'll be wanting him to get some sort of game time, and if it's on the wing at the moment, he doesn't start ahead of Rafinha. Probably doesn't start ahead of Jack Harrison either on that left-hand side. So as an impact sub, he's obviously an upgrade on Helder Costa and probably Somerville as well, because we haven't seen anything of Somerville in the first-team squad. Kai also said he's far too lightweight for the Premier League at the moment, in my opinion. Maybe with the game time, he might change. Who knows? He definitely works hard, which is a lot of what Bielsa asked for, but he said he's far too lightweight, so he wouldn't have done well in the game against Burnley yesterday because that was MMA, WWE kind of stuff. Ashley Barnes karate kicking Stuart Dallas out of Turf Moor. A couple of other challenges in there that were sort of left unscathed. Should the referee have shown red on Sunday, Kieran?
I think he should have shown a red to Ashley Barnes. I do think that challenge it's off the ground, it's out of control. And all the talk ever since that has been, well, it's a product of the whole late flag system that they've said this whole flagging late and letting attacks play out when we think someone's offside is going to lead to an injury. And this was a sign that could happen. But I think that takes away from the fact that Ashley Barnes shouldn't have gone in like that. The fact that we're creating this whole conversation about the fact, it should have never even happened in the first place. Well, it did happen, and it was an awful challenge. I think the one on Bamford from Ben Mee, was it, when he was breaking forward? I think that was a yellow, a clear yellow, and it was given a yellow in the end. I think I've seen that as a shout for a red as well. It's a nasty looking challenge, but I don't think it is massively out of control. I don't think his studs are up. So I think it's a yellow, and sort of you're walking on a thin line, another one and you're gone. So I'd say it's only the Ashley Barnes one really that I think should have seen red.
It's just weird when like Rodrigo basically clipped someone on a counter-attack and got a yellow card as well. I get, but say his counter-attack, he was sort of just on the halfway line. Like it wasn't, I don't know, it was just, if that's a yellow and then Barnes doing that to Dallas is a yellow, he can't have been far from a red card. I don't know if it got VAR checked. I don't know if they actually say when it gets checked and everything gets checked and they just sort of dismissed it. But it was a horrific challenge. Another comment from Dan James. Sorry, not from Dan James. If he was interacting with this podcast, I'd imagine he was signed, sealed and delivered. But he said, Michael Brown said, Dan James is not rated by the Man United supporters and is surplus to requirements. Bielsa tried to acquire him in the Championship. So we know Bielsa rates him, as Kieran was saying, had a whole kind of Microsoft Word Excel document on him on probably what he eats for breakfast every day. The only thing is the price tag. And I think they were asking for about £20 million on the Athletic. And £20 million from our point of view, I guess, as a club who are probably looking to spend a little bit less this summer because of what we did last year for a player who won't start every game. Is that worth it?
I mean, it depends. Different clubs have different expectations, don't they? Manchester City will go out and splash 50 million on a third choice left back, whereas with us, I think if you're putting out £20 million, you're very much expecting a first team regular. So if that's a price tag, I really don't see the club pursuing that on a permanent. Whether we'd be in for the loan with an option to buy or something like that. I mean, that's a very sort of Radrizzani at Leeds deal, isn't it? Jack Harrison, for example, the loan with the option to buy. So if we could get something negotiated like that with Manchester United, I could see it possibly happening.
What sort of reception does he get if he comes back to Ellen Road? Not necessarily from our fans, but also from the Manchester United fans as well.
I mean, if he only comes in on loan, so he's still a Man United player, then I don't know. They can't really give him any abuse, can they?
No.
I mean, he wouldn't be playing against Man United then, would he? Because loan deals, they can't play against parent club. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Man United fans would massively hold it against him for signing for Leeds, and Leeds fans. I mean, I don't know if we'd have any sort of bad blood that after his failed transfer to Leeds, he didn't want that move to happen again the following summer. He preferred to take a move to Man United. I just see it going smoothly, to be honest. No one holding anything against him and just hoping for the best.
It kind of feels like he's not already like Leeds, but when he was coming back, I got a bit of an excitement, and I wouldn't have that about any other Manchester United player coming to Leeds. Like, obviously, if it was like a world-class player, then cool, fair enough. But it kind of feels like he's got a bit of Leeds in him just because of all the photos of him with like his Parker coat on, holding up the Leeds shirt. And you're just thinking, this is almost like the perfect kind of circle to come back and then take us to, I don't know really where we're wanting to aim to in the table, just not to go down because of where we are in the table at the moment. But I think he would be a good signing. I would be excited if he did walk through the doors of Ellen Road within the next 24 hours and a bit. Really, there isn't long for Victor Orta and Radrizzani to work their magic. But we'll finish on that Burnley game then. Obviously, it's a point away from home, like we said, at Turf Moor is a good point. Is it a good point in your eyes, or would you have liked to have just seen us take 3 points?
I think Burnley are one of the worst sides in the Premier League. I don't think they're going to go down because they always manage to pick up those points to avoid relegation.
Yeah.
I think looking at the result we got at Turf Moor last season, I mean, I know Burnley were very much on the beach. I think I said that last week, that I thought Burnley were on the beach a bit when we played them last time out.
Yeah.
And looking at the fact that we come out of the international break to play against Liverpool as well, which we know is going to be a tough game. I'm not writing us off, but you know, a point is massive there. Never mind picking up your first win of the season. With all that context, I do feel quite down about the result. I really wanted to see us pick up that first win of the new campaign. I felt like Burnley was a good chance to do that. And I felt the performance fell well short of our standards. So coming out of the international break, you don't really know where that first win's coming from, because that Liverpool game, you know, we've got no expectations there, have we?
I was going to say, I don't know what's happened to my mentality now, but I looked at the Liverpool game and went, probably won't win that. Then looked at who's next, like Newcastle away, thinking they probably wouldn't have won a game by then either. Probably won't win that because they'll win that. Then we've got West Ham, who are on fire at the moment. Probably won't win that. Then it's like Watford. Oh, they beat Villa opening day. Probably won't win that. And in my eyes, I don't know. I was such an optimistic fan, and now I think it was just that 5-1 game against Manchester United has just completely sent my sort of perspective of this team out the window. And hopefully these 2 weeks gather a bit more perspective for me, and I can go into that Liverpool game like we did both times last season at Anfield and in the game when the Super League was going on, thinking we can actually get something and win something from this game. I think a lot of it also from the Burnley game was the fact, like you said, is how well we did last time in the 4-0 win. Like you said, they were kind of on the beach a bit. They didn't have anything to play for. It was one like the last 3 or 4 games of the season. And I guess one of the things was that Rodrigo obviously was starting in place of Mateus Klick, who was unfortunately out with COVID, as is Junior Firpo. So best of luck to them and hopefully a speedy recovery with not too many symptoms of COVID. But Rodrigo, he's a funny one because Tyler Roberts came on and for me did more than him in the 19 or maybe even 10 minutes that Roberts was on the pitch for. Where's your stance with Rodrigo at the moment?
I still think he's an extremely talented player. I think he's shown it in spells at Leeds. It's a bit sad that every time he seems to have had a little bit of momentum, he's ended up with either an injury or there was that time he got COVID when he started playing well. We've seen him play well behind the striker in the number 10 role before. And we've seen him, I think that Burnley game last season really showed his ability in front of goal as well. So there's this whole debate over whether he should be in the number 9 rather than in the 4 behind the striker. And there's this whole debate as to whether he's even good enough at all. I still thought there was a couple of nice moments in there from him in that Burnley game. There's that one where Rafinha played the ball forward to him. He's almost instinctively managed to pick out Jack Harrison and then set off running.
He chested it and set it off to him, didn't
he? Yeah. I think there's a talented player in there, and I you know, there's no denying it. We haven't seen it enough yet, but I haven't given up on Rodrigo at Leeds yet. I still think he could come really good for us.
No, yeah, exactly. And this is the thing. I want him to succeed so bad. And I think it's just the whole thing about a £30 million signing is that's why he's being spoken about so much. If that was, I don't know, someone we signed for £10 million, you probably wouldn't be having as much of a conversation about it as we are. But Spanish international, 30 years old, getting into his prime, you're kind of expecting a little bit more. But I really want him to do well because he's actually one of my favourites at the club. He seems like such a nice guy. And I think it is just that price tag. But we saw the link up with it, like you said, on Sunday. He was producing some good moments. But it's just sort of final product. And he set the ball actually to Rafinha when Rafinha sort of had that cross-come shot across goal. Set it off to him with a lovely weighted pass as well. And one thing else that was different from that game on Sunday compared to last season's 4-0 win was that there was no Alioski, who actually had one of the games of his life. Do you think we underestimated how much we would miss Gianni Alioski in this side?
No, because I still feel like Junior Firpo with time will become an upgrade. Unfortunately, he couldn't even make it to the game on Sunday because of COVID. So it's a bit of a shame when one of the new players that you have to come in and make an impact ends up having a time off with COVID. But I still think he will prove to be an upgrade on Alioski, having a natural left back in at left back, someone who has great pedigree. I forgot who he was playing for in La Liga before he signed for Barca, but he impressed enough to get that move to Barcelona. Obviously, he was only a bit part player in his time at Barcelona, but there's a reason a club like that took him on. I think Gianni, obviously, he was a big character. He was really well liked amongst the squad. And he also had that utility player about him, the fact that he could come in and play on the wing. He was very effective for us at left back, at left wing back. So he's missed, but I still think that we are better with Junior Firpo. We will be better with time with Junior Firpo.
Yeah, I guess it is almost the fact that like squad depth isn't there because Firpo is now not there. We can't bring in Alioski. We have to shift Dallas back to left back. And you think we haven't got Alioski, we haven't got Pablo Hernandez who scored his first goal for is it Castellon he's at now in his new club in Spain. So it was just good to see that when he bent. I don't know have you seen his goal?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
He scored. It was basically classic Pablo picks the ball up on the edge of the box, does his little like puffing with his mouth onto his right foot and just curled it into the bottom right hand corner. It was such a classic Pablo goal. Now, this wasn't any offence to Burnley fans or anything like that. I'd spelt Turf Moor like that in the description of the podcast because I was in a bit of a rush and D is next to F on the keypad. So it looks like a shot at Turf Moor, but genuinely it's not. Honestly, I really like Turf Moor. I thought the fans were phenomenal against Leeds, and it was not meant to be spelt like that. I don't know if Peter Robinson, if you are a Leeds fan or a Burnley fan, but please don't take any offence to that, Burnley fans. It was an honest mistake, and I've changed it in the little ticker that's coming. There you go. You can see it says Turf Moor instead of that. Yeah, so that wasn't meant to be spelled like that. Michael Brown. Plenty of comments coming in from Michael today. Thank you very much. Rodrigo is being played out of position at Valencia. He was part of a two-man forward line playing off the main striker across the front line. Spain, he played as the main striker, not a midfielder. Well, Kieran, you saw him play for the best part of how long was he on the pitch for against Crewe up front? Or was he deployed as a number 9, or was he actually in behind Tyler Roberts?
They kind of switched it round, was at the start of the game, Roberts was in the number 9 position, but I think there was they were swapping it round between them because there was a time when it was Roberts dropping back and Rodrigo higher up the pitch. So he didn't actually have that many minutes as a number 9 against Crewe. I think during his time there was kind of one opportunity where he's judged his run, the timing of his run at a perfect time, got picked out with a ball. But I think the angle was slightly difficult for him. He still should have done better with the shot. It was off target in the end. I think he should have at least tested the keeper. But yeah, that was his only real moment as a striker against Crewe.
I guess he does seem to be wanting to potentially play up front, but then we've played him up front. I remember in the cup against like Hull and Crawley, I think last season, and he doesn't seem to have that same effect as he has done for Valencia and for Spain. But hopefully he can come good. But let's look at the season. I say season overall. We've literally played 3 games of football, 3 90 minutes of football. It's not enough to judge a side on, but 3 games, 2 points from a possible 9 against Manchester United at Old Trafford, Everton at Ellen Road, and Burnley at Turf Moor. How do you assess the first 3 games? Is it sort of what you would have expected, or would you have liked to see maybe a couple more points on the board?
I think definitely I'd have liked to have seen us pick up a win by now. I mean, obviously, I would have liked that, but I think it's not really the results so far; it's the performances. I mean, I know Man United for one of the one of the very best sides in this league. We can say that as much as we hate them, we can say that, and I think to have asked for even a draw once again is you're expecting a lot there, but I was still very disappointed with the manner of the defeat. I thought Mellier's, and I love Elan Mellier, so I'm not coming at him here, but I thought his little passes he was doing into towards the right back and left back, that he tends to do quite well, but we're just getting picked off all the time, and we weren't learning his lesson. We were losing the ball far too easily, even against one of the best sides in the league. We were losing the ball far too easily, and it was killing us. And it was just so we were coming at us, and it always looked like we were heading for a collapse. Even when Ayling hit that wonderful equaliser, it still only felt. I mean, it was only a matter of time until they found themselves back ahead, and it looked to me that whole game like we were going to get thrashed, and in the end we did get thrashed. The Everton game, we improved, but what I'd say at the moment is we're very streaky within games. So we will string 10 minutes of really good, really crisp passing play together that we've come to know with Bielsa in charge of Leeds, and then we'll have 10, 15 minutes of just giving the ball straight back to the opposition as soon as we get it, and just looking really out of sorts, out of sync with us passing. So the signs are there in a way. I mean, a couple of lovely counter-attacks against Burnley. There was that one where Phillips has drove forward and after a few nice little passes and chipped a ball through to Bamford, and Bamford just on the run couldn't get it under control. There was the one that I've already mentioned where Rafinha drops deep, picks out a lovely ball to Rodrigo, who does really well to control it and find Jack Harrison and set us off there. So there is signs of how good we can be, but like it's coming in spells, it's coming in streaks, and we haven't really strung together a performance over 90 minutes yet.
Yeah, I think the Everton game, like I agree with you, it was actually in spells, and I was kind of looking at the Everton game through, in a sense, like white rose tinted glasses, where it was because it was such a fantastic day with the fans being back, and because the whole occasion was very good, and it was an improvement on the Manchester United game. It was kind of all right. But after the game, I was sort of relying on a win at Turf Moor to sort of back up that draw. But to then, escape with a sort of late equaliser, again, it's not the signs you want. And we said before we came on, all teams, go through bad spells. Like Man City had their opening game as a loss. It's just it's a bit surprising for Bielsa to have his so early on in the season, but they are 2 points taken from maybe you would have expected like a possible 4. I don't know. It's not disastrous. It's not the end of the world, but we could do with kicking on after the international break. And in the international break, Patrick Bamford is in action for England. We may see him put on an England shirt. I'm not definitely sure if he'll be making a start or a substitute appearance, but were you expecting it when the England call-up came out? Because I sort of forgot about it, and I think Bamford said he forgot about it, and I sort of didn't really have him in contention to even make it into the squad. But when I saw it sort of come up on that bang on 2 o'clock, I was shocked.
Yeah, I mean, it came as a surprise for me, but I think that's mainly because I completely forgot that there'd be an England squad announcement coming up. I think him not getting any goals in the first couple of games of the season as well, maybe kind of it slipped his mind to really get on the Bamford for England campaign. But I think Southgate mentioned him a lot in press conferences from like midway through last season, that he's a player that's showing signs getting a good education under Bielsa and that he is looking at. And he obviously mentioned him as being quite close, but just missing out when the Euros initial squad, the extended squad, was announced. So I kind of did expect Southgate to try him out this season, especially if he continued scoring goals. I didn't know whether it had come in the first international break, but I did expect him to make an England squad fairly soon.
Yeah, good on him. Like, obviously, he got that assist against Everton, but like you say, hadn't scored at all in the league yet. So I was sort of expecting a similar squad to what the Euros was. But then again, Rashford's injured. Back up to that, Ollie Watkins is injured at the moment or just came back at the weekend. Danny Ings, I was a bit surprised not to see in there because he started the season better than Bamford had. But look, if the more Leeds players that are getting in the England squad shows how much we're progressing as a side. He joins Calvin Phillips. Next to get on there is just Jack Harrison, Luke Ayling, and maybe Jamie Shackleton in 6-7 years' time. Who knows? Who knows? The one final bit I want to talk about, because we won't preview the Liverpool game because that's coming up in a couple of weeks' time, but the big news surrounding football at the moment, if you've been living under a rock, is that Ronaldo, well, looks like I think he's passed his medical and is going back to Old Trafford. Kieran, I want to finish off the podcast by asking you if you could have one player return to Ellen Road, who would it be?
Am I talking about players that are still playing right
I
now?
was thinking I was phrasing that question. I was thinking actually, let's keep it right now. Who would you want to see return?
Who have we got out there that
Yeah, who would be our Ronaldo style signing at the moment?
I mean, if you'd have asked 5 years ago, this would be such an easy question because you could have just, I mean, we were in the Championship, so we'd take pretty much anyone and we could have easily just said any of Fabian Delph, James Milner. I mean, I'd still love to see Milner in a Leeds shirt, weirdly. I know that I should just leave that in the past, but I remember I was a really young kid when he was also quite a young kid himself at 16, 17, 18 years old, breaking through. And ever since I've followed his career through Aston Villa, through Newcastle, I always backed him when he was playing for England. And I always wanted to see him back at Leeds, but I mean, we're in a place now, there's not many former players that had come in and improve us.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Wood, maybe, but he's not a Bielsa striker at all. Charlie Taylor.
As we found out, he hates the club as well, celebrate, so can't be coming back.
Charlie Taylor, maybe, is one of the only people I'm seeing out there that would actually improve us. Because, I mean, Aaron Lennon played against us as well for Burnley. He's probably past his best. Bailey Peacock-Farrell is playing really well in League One, but not well enough to come in and take Melier's place.
No.
I might, you know what, I'm going to say Milner for nostalgia. I know he doesn't really come in and improve us, but I've always wanted to see him back in a Leeds shirt, and I'd still smile if it happened.
I do think part of it is nostalgia. I think that's part of it. Obviously, Ronaldo is a little bit better than James Milner. Some might say. I don't know. That may be a harsh take on James Milner, but he obviously comes in and improves Manchester United as well. But nostalgia-wise, James Milner's definitely up there. Michael Brown was just in another comment. For him, he's got to go for a young version of Pablo Hernandez. And that's annoying because we let him go 2-3 months ago. It just shows how much we might need him back. I was thinking the same as Michael, an attacking midfield position. If does Jonny Howson still play in attacking midfield, or is he left back in Middlesbrough now?
He's played at right back a few times for Middlesbrough. I don't know if he's back in midfield now, but I definitely seen him playing right back. I'd maybe take, never mind a young Pablo, I'd maybe take Pablo now, actually.
It's scary. Literally, the fact we let go of him 2-3 months ago says maybe should we just renew this contract for a sort of a pay-as-you-go kind of mobile phone contract plan, just pay as you play. Just every game you play, we'll just give you a little bit more money. But he's back in his hometown now, and he's doing well as Pablo. Jonny Howson, maybe if he was back to his prime at Leeds, but he's getting a bit on now. And seeing he's 30 odd years old is just a bit scary. I remember when he was on the scene at 18, 19, you just think how quickly does this football calendar go? Any other names that spring McCormack? I think nostalgia would be nice, but I don't think he's got the right attitude to him and get near a Bielsa side. I can't think of many other players who I'd want back in terms of improving our squad. But Milner, I think I'm going to agree with you, nostalgia-wise. Statman Michael Brown, Jonny Howson scored for Middlesbrough at the weekend. Sign him up. Sign him up. That's all I can say. Well, thank you very much for tuning into this week's episode of the Bremner Square podcast. I think we'll be back next week, but it is the international break. So enjoy yourselves with the lack of football on the TV. Leeds are going to be back at Ellen Road against Liverpool in a couple of weeks' time. Kieran, thank you very much for coming on as usual, and make sure to follow our Twitter handles on the screen right now. Thank you very much, everyone, for all your comments as well, and we will